Hola Year 9, so this is our last Monday lesson before the summer break, and today we are talking about bueno o malo para la salud. So as usual, put today's date, if it's lunes, whatever day is you're doing, in casa. And so can you work out then what this title means? Hopefully you know bueno means good, o is just o, malo, bad. And we had this word last lesson, la salud. So good or bad for health, good or bad for your health. So by the end of today's lesson, we're going to kind of put everything together that we've done so far on food and sports and extend that a little bit with understanding if something is good or bad for health, combining food and drink and activities and exercise. And then to be able to understand how often somebody does something. So going back to those time phrases we had from last week. And then put all that together and start looking at our first lot of GCSE conversation questions for the exam. Okay, so to start with, what I'd like you to do is categorise all of these words under either deportes, comida, or bebidas. So in your books or on Word, wherever you're working, create 3 columns and write each of these words into each column. If there are any you don't know or any new words we come across, then make sure when we go through what the answers are that you add the English with them. So pause the video now and categorise those words. Okay, so let's go through these. I've just colour-coded them rather than put them into columns. So you've got baloncesto, basketball, footing, which is jogging or running, football, obviously football, natación, swimming. Remember, this is not natación or shun, okay? In Spanish, C-I-O-N words are ción, okay? Natación, alpinismo. So this is a new one. This is about hiking, going mountain, walking the mountains, because you can see the word alpinismo, looks like Alps, okay? So those are the mountain range in Europe that cross France and Italy and Switzerland. Then we have baile, if you remember from last week, is dancing. Then the foods are pan, which is bread, hamburguesa, hamburger, verduras, vegetables, queso is cheese, uvas are grapes. If you remember back to that fruit lesson that we did. So make sure you've written down the English for any of those. Go back and replay if you need to. Which means the black ones then are drink. So leche, milk, agua, water. Cerveza is a new word. It means beer. Vino tinto literally means like tinted or dyed wine. So red wine. Coca-Cola, obviously Coke. Oh, sorry, té for tea and café for coffee. So again, write down the English of any that you didn't know. Okay, so the time phrases, before we do a bit of understanding what other people have said about time phrases, let's just see how well we remember them from last week. So if you remember, I introduced you to them, and then I showed you a type of strategy you can use for learning words at home, where you write out the words with some of the letters missing, then cover up the original and see if you can fill in the missing letters. You can even do it a day later or a week later. Write them out with gaps missing and come back a day or week later to see how much of the gaps you can remember. So let's just see how many of these words we remember from last week. So there's no need to write them down because you've already got them, but if you want to write them down, then it always adds that extra element of being able to get them to stick. So pause the video and just look down that list, say them, see if you can say them correctly and say what the English is to yourself or write it down. So if you need a little bit more clues, here they are muddled up. So pause the video again, and if there's any you still haven't done or not sure of, then try using the muddled up list first. Okay, and then here's the answers. So to check our pronunciation, siempre was always, a menudo, often, a veces, sometimes, de vez en cuando, occasionally, de vez en cuando, nunca is never. Then we had both of these mean every day, cada día or todos los días. Every weekend, cada fin de semana, or you can say todos los fines de semana. And then once per week, una vez a la semana. If you were saying twice a week, it'd be dos veces a la semana. Twice a month, dos veces al mes. Once a year, una vez al año. Twice a year, dos veces al año, and so on. Lots of different ways we can adapt that. Okay, so having recapped those then, what you're going to do for ejercicio uno, so you can open the worksheet that is below this video and either print this and write them out, or you can just write them into your books, or you can put a text box over the images and do it on the computer. What you're going to do next to each one is either write bueno para la salud or malo para la salud next to each. So is each phrase either good for your health or bad for your health? So you don't need to understand it all. Okay, you're just getting the general sense that is what the person is talking about something that is good for their health or bad for their health. Okay, and you don't have to write out bueno para la salud every time. You could just write bueno or malo. So make sure you're thinking back and looking back to work we did last lesson or previous lessons, particularly last lesson. We're building on what we did. And also there are lots of time words in here. So flick back to either last lesson or the previous slide. If you're looking at the slides below this, you could have the slides open on the right slide while you look at the video, because there's a lot of time phrases there. Okay. So just as an example, if we're looking at number 1, bebo mucho agua. So hopefully we can remember from last lesson that key verb bebo, I drink, it's got an O on the end, so I know it's I drink. Mucha agua todos los días. Well, I know it's talking about water, maybe you're not sure of mucha, and then todos los días is one of our time phrases, every day. So I drink water every day, so it's probably going to be good, because there's not a no in there. So it's not going to be I don't drink enough or I drink, it could be I drink little water, I suppose. So if you're not 100% sure, you might need to look up keywords then that are missing in the middle. But mucha means a lot, so this is good. I drink a lot of water every day. So to help you, if you understand the underlined parts, you should be able to get a sense of whether or not it's bueno or malo. Okay, because even if you've forgotten this verb here, you've got the time phrase nunca, and then you've got verduras, our food from the first lessons, and then even if you're not sure of that verb in the middle, you should get a sense then if that is good or bad. So pause the video and write down 1 to 10, bueno or malo for each one. Okay, so the second one is malo. It means I never, nunca, I never eat vegetables. Literally they say never I eat vegetables because they can't split up the verb. So nunca I eat, never I eat vegetables. Any words that you are not sure of before this, remember, please make sure that you make a note of them in your books or in your work area so you build up vocabulary that you didn't know before today. Okay. Número 3, voy a la piscina a menudo. So voy is I go. Okay, we had that last lesson. 2, the swimming pool. That word looks a bit like the French, if you remember, la piscine. A menudo, often. So that's good. Hago is a verb from last lesson. I do. Like muscle exercises, literally. So bodybuilding exercises or strength exercises 2 or 3 times per week. So that's good. Nunca, I never. So straight away you can see a never there, so that you're more inclined to think it's bad, but then it could be I never eat sugary food. So be careful when you see negatives. I never do exercise because I prefer to watch the TV. I eat 5 pieces of fruit per month. Como 5 piezas de fruta al mes. Obviously that's bad, that's not enough to eat only 5 per month. Tomo remembers I take, or as another way to say I eat. Dulces means sweets or sweet things after every food, after every meal. I never have a good diet. I don't have enough calcium in the day, per day. No tomo suficiente calcio al día. And voy al gimnasio una vez al año. I go to the gym once per year, which is obviously bad. Unless you're exercising at home, but if that's your only exercise, then going it once is obviously not enough. Okay, so make sure you've corrected those in another colour as usual. And then let's move on. So ejercicio 2, exercise 2, is going over some similar vocabulary, but also adding in a little bit of newer vocabulary and making sure then that you're able to basically translate these phrases. Because what you're going to do, the same sort of tips looking back over the last lesson and the time phrases, is work out the activity they're talking about and the frequency, how often they do it. So for example, number 1, tomo fruta, I take fruit. So the activity is eating fruit. Dos veces al día, twice a day. Okay, so pause the video. You don't need to write all of these out if you're working in your books. You can if you want to. You can just write out 1 to 10 and the 2 columns. Okay, so these are the answers then. I go to the swimming pool once a month. I eat vegetables 3 times a week. I drink wine often. I drink water every day. I go to the gym 5 times a week. I do exercise once a day. I eat dulces, or sweets, like I said before. They're translated to sweets, but really we're talking about like sweet things. When you want to talk about actual sweets, it's the verb los caramelos, los caramelos. So make a note of those two to make sure you know. And then if you want to say something is sweet, then we use dulce. You saw that before with the adjectives. Okay. So I eat sweets often, a menudo. I don't drink coffee, so I never drink coffee. I watch TV every day. So correct yours in another colour as usual, and then when you're ready, move on. Okay, so ejercicio 3, exercise 3, and then checking our understanding then, is a bit more of a detailed reading. So you've so far seen things in single sentences, and now we've built up to a higher level reading here. So when you approach a text like this in an exam, skim read the text. First of all, get a general gist of what's going on in the text, where things might be, but also skim read the questions, because the questions very often can give you clues about what's in the text. So first of all, I know straight away that there is somebody who is a vegetarian, because the question tells me. I know that he has good things and bad things in his diet. Okay, so straight away I can see that. I know that it either refers to things being difficult or easy. I know straight away that's what is in each text. And I can see there are 4 paragraphs here, and there's 2 questions, and the good and bad might be the ones that are in this big one, and then there's another here. So I can see that they're probably matching up to the paragraphs. So now I've got a general gist of what's there in the questions. I'll skim read the text so that I can see roughly, as I'm skim reading, I'm looking out for clues for each of these. Now I know what I'm looking for. So pause the video, skim read the text after you've had a skim of the questions, and then we'll move on to how we're going to answer them. Okay, so I want you to now try answering the questions in English before I give you any advice on how you could answer each of these. So there are some difficult phrasings in here that we haven't come across before. There are some trickier structures and some new words. So just see how you do, first of all. And if you're really feeling stuck, don't worry. We're going to kind of go through it next in a kind of walking, talking, mock way. So I'm going to walk and talk you through it as how I would answer it if I was a pupil sitting a GCSE question. Okay? Okay, so you should by now have had a little go at answering the questions, and maybe you found that okay, maybe you found it difficult, maybe you've picked up some new vocabulary by looking words up yourself on an online dictionary, okay? I did want you to try, I should have said that, just to see how you do without a dictionary. Can you work things out from the clues? And that's what I'm going to show you now. So number 1, why is he a vegetarian? So straight away see, I am a vegetarian, I can see the word because, and then I can see parents, vegetarian. So I can see straight away that's one reason. But it's always good to read on, because sometimes it might say an opposite or a negative or just give more detail. Okay, so that's obviously one reason his parents are. También, also, because. Right, then we got odio, I know is an opinion. I hate. Not sure about la carne, but, and then another reason, because animals terrible. So something about animals is terrible. So let's look at this in a bit more detail, okay? We should always use some logic. Like, what are some common reasons somebody may be a vegetarian? That could give you some clues about some of these phrases here. So, for example, if you were going to hate something, and that's why you became a vegetarian, the obvious thing, therefore, to hate would be meat, la carne. And then, if you were a vegetarian, a likely reason, or a possible reason, for not wanting to eat meat is because something animals is terrible. So this word here, matar, I've circled the AR deliberately. What does it mean if a word ends in an AR? So maybe you remember from our lesson a couple of weeks ago that makes it an infinitive. It's a verb, to something. So because to or ing can mean something ing animals is terrible. Well, obviously in order to eat meat, we would be killing animals. So therefore this person thinks killing animals is terrible. So without even looking up carne and matar, you could work those out from logic about what you know. Okay, so the possible three answers are: his parents are vegetarians, he hates meat, or killing animals is terrible. So well done if you work those out without looking up them on an online dictionary, and if you just work them out from the context of the text. Okay, question 2 then. How does he feel about being a vegetarian, and why? So remember before I talked about like working things out where they could be in the question? Well, logically, okay, if number 1 ended here, question 2 is logically going to start here, isn't it? Not always, but it might be that they completely miss out the sentence and you don't have to answer anything to do with that, but usually they follow on with sometimes a sentence missing in between. So let's have a look then. Me siento mejor ahora desde que soy vegetariano. So this bit here, there's a lot of words that are more difficult because they are new in there. But I can see I'm vegetarian because I have. These are all words we've done. We now know mucha from the beginning of the lesson, a lot. And we've done más before when we made comparisons, more. Well, these words here anyway, we've got our cognates, aren't they? Energía. So that can help me with the why. He's got a lot more energy. Y menos, we did menos when we made comparisons as well, it means less, but enfermedades is a new one. So if I was looking at this in an exam and I can see, right, the why part here, not sure what this means. He's a vegetarian because I have a lot more energy. So how does he feel? Well, this must be saying about how he feels, and this is why. So I feel something because I've got a lot more energy. Well, if you're going to have a lot more energy than before, you obviously feel better than before, okay? So you might not have come to that conclusion. Maybe you have. Maybe you just looked at mejor in a dictionary, but he's got a lot more energy. He says he feels better, okay? So the answer is that he feels better. So write down the word mejor if you didn't know. If you say el mejor, it means the best, okay? And he's got a lot more energy and less illnesses. So that's new vocabulary there, menos enfermedades. So make a note of that as well. Okay, what is good about his diet and what is not good? So straight away, I can see the word good there, buena, okay? And I'm obviously then going to look around here. But never just read after the word. This is a really good example for us to see that if we only read after the word that links us to the question, we might miss something. So always read back, even though I've located the right sentence, always read back as well as forwards. So normalmente, normally, I eat a lot. These are all words we've done. Verduras, remember, means vegetables because they are good. And then this is our keywords from the start of the lesson for health. So what's good about his diet? He eats a lot of vegetables. And then if I read on, tiene muchas vitaminas. Well, if I'm not sure the verb tienen, what logically makes sense? Normally I eat a lot of vegetables because they are good for health and something, lots of vitamins they contain, they have, all of that makes sense. It means they have. Okay, so he eats a lot of vegetables, they have a lot of vitamins. Then the next question, what is bad about his diet? Again, I can see the word malo or no es buena here, but I need to make sure I read back as well as forward. So he says, also, I eat a lot of something, but it's not good for your health because it has a lot of something. So this mantequilla and grasa, now this here is a perfect example for you that although we can work out a lot from a text, from the context, from logic, from cognates, unless you learn vocabulary, there will be some questions you just can't work out from the context. Mantequilla and grasa both look nothing like the English. So if they are words that you haven't come across enough that they've stuck and you've learnt them and you've gone away on Quizlet and learnt them, when you come to a question like this, it's going to be very difficult to work it out. Perhaps if you knew grasa, which means fat, you might be able to work out mantequilla because you think of things that he would eat that is suitable for a vegetarian that contains fat. You could go through a list. Or the opposite, if you knew mantequilla, which means butter, and you know eating a lot of that is not going to be healthy because of what it contains. But again, like I said, both of these, it's a simple case of needing to know the vocabulary. It's always good, though, to keep reading, like I said, especially when you see words like also, because sometimes it can give us more clues. So if you weren't sure about this section, if I read on here, also, I like a lot, so I really like cheese, and it's good because it has calcium. But I eat demasiado means too much. Some cheeses can have a lot of, and again, you might work out, grasa means fat. Fat cheese is fat and not good for your health. So if you weren't sure mantequilla, you could at least work out maybe the second part because we've done queso before. So overall then, he eats lots of butter, which has a lot of fat, and you could say the same about cheese. He eats a lot of cheese, and some cheeses have a lot of fat. Okay, finally then, is it easy or difficult to be a vegetarian? Well, straight away, if I'm looking for words that match the question to where it could be in the text, I can see the word difficult here, difícil, okay? So therefore, it's difficult, difícil. And then I would need to read on. I can see the word por qué, so that's where my why is coming, because there's something, and then of my friends no son vegetarianos. So something about his friends not being vegetarians. My friends aren't vegetarians, but I'm maybe not sure about la mayoría. The is la, isn't it? Because the something of my friends are not vegetarians. Well, logically in English then, what could mayoría be? At the moment, I'm struggling to think of other things. I obviously know what the word is that it could be that fits. The only word that is coming to my mind is the majority. It might just be because I know the word, but try and think of what logically fits in that gap, okay? So it's difficult to be vegetarian because the majority of his friends aren't vegetarians. Okay, so the final ejercicio is to do a bit of hablar. Now, it's a bit difficult, obviously, at home to be doing any proper speaking. But it's really important that you get used to speaking more Spanish to build up your confidence. So at the end of every topic we do, we will be working on exam type questions. So we haven't fully finished the health and fitness topic. We'll do a bit more on it in September. But we finished really the section on food and sports. So what we're going to be doing is looking at these 4 questions, and the first 3 in particular, and answering these, and then I explain what you're going to do a bit of speaking for me. So I want you to pause the video first of all and work out what you think each question means. Okay, so well done if you've been able to work all those out. We've got ¿Cuál es tu deporte favorito? Which is what is your favourite sport and why? ¿Llevas una vida sana? We were looking at last week, so that's do you lead a healthy life and why or why not? Do you like junk food? And then the last one is a bit more tricky to answer and work out. Do you think obesity is a very serious problem nowadays? ¿Crees que la obesidad es un problema muy serio hoy en día? And problema is a weird word in Spanish. Although it ends in A, it is a masculine word. It's one of the very rare words that end in A that are masculine. So what I want you to do is to write answers to each of these questions by going back over everything we've done and write answers to these. They are the type of question you will get in the conversation section of your speaking exam. So we're going to start preparing you even now to just build up that confidence to be able to talk about different topics that you choose from a list. Okay. And then what I'd like you to do is to video yourself saying the answer. You don't need to be in the video. If you can record it in a different way, or if it's easier just to use a video, then just place your camera or your phone rather on a desk or surface, whatever it is, so that nothing else needs to be in the video. It can just be blank and we can just hear your voice. That's fine. Okay. And then upload that video to Moodle. So other people have sent me videos of themselves speaking before, so it does work to add a video to Moodle. But if you're struggling, then you can email it to me or just let me know. But it's really important that I just get that chance to hear your pronunciation and that you get the chance to speak some Spanish and check what you know. Do you come across any words that you aren't sure how to say? Do you feel confident with your pronunciation and accent, and so on, okay? You might even feel comfortable to get somebody in the house to ask you a few times the different questions to practice, and even to ask you the questions out of order so you get practice of listening to the question and working out what it means on the spot, okay? So record those answers after this, okay? So don't need to pause and do it right now. Finish the last couple of slides I've got just explaining a couple of things, and then you can go away and do this, okay? So what I'd like you to be thinking of now, we've finished our first term of GCSE Spanish, okay? And over the summer and into next year, so obviously it's the summer holidays, we don't expect you to be doing loads of work, but with a language, it's really important to try and keep it up, okay? Because it really helps with your memory. So of these things here, about 15 ways to improve your memory, little and often is there. And I always talk about little and often because rather than cramming words in 2 years' time to try and learn all of your Spanish words for the GCSE, if you've done it little and often, they're going to stick much better, and it does improve your memory. So if you are able over the summer at all to every now and then do a little bit of vocabulary learning, then that's going to really help you. You're going to need, not just now, but more thinking about over the next 2 years, to become familiar with the whole GCSE Moodle. So far you've just been in a special section for year 9 to 10 GCSE, but this is the whole GCSE Moodle here, and you can follow the link in the slide below, or find it on the Moodle homepage. And there's loads of information there. There's speaking resources, listening, reading, writing, vocabulary, and then the lessons that our year 10 and 11 have been 10 into 11 have been following. Okay. Within the speaking section, you will see lots of really useful words to be learning, but also a link that looks like this to take to our Quizlet, which is this link here, which is the folders of all of the GCSE words you need to learn for Spanish. But you really need by now to have gone into this link, the class link, which I will place in the lesson as well, or you can just simply type this into a bar to make sure you're part of our Quizlet group, because I'll add specific words for our topics. So at the moment there, you've got the food words to be learning, okay? Well, the other thing obviously you can use is Duolingo, because although it's not GCSE specific and words that the WJC expect you to know, it's a really good way through listening, reading, writing and speaking to put lots of different words into context. And especially as you've started this GCSE in year 9, rather than doing year 7 and 8, it just fills in a little bit of some of the basic vocabulary that you would have, you start right at the beginning, okay? So, like I said, I don't expect you to be doing loads over the summer, but you might find that every couple of days you could do 10 minutes on your phone, and that wouldn't be very much, even if you did 10 minutes on your phone 3 days a week. Okay, that's half an hour a week over the whole summer. It's not very much, okay? And then just get into the habit of it, be ready for the next 2 years anyway. So well done, year 9. So hopefully now you feel more confident with understanding phrases linking to whether food are good or bad for the health and how often somebody does something, and you can use all of that now to answer the questions for yourself. So keep in touch if there's anything you want to be asking me about. By all means, if you've fallen behind, you can be working on these over the summer, that's fine. I will be dipping into my emails and work to make sure we are on top of everything before September, but please enjoy your summer and relax as well. And then we will hit the ground running to catch up as much as we can with our lost time in September, although you've been working really hard, the ones of you who kept up to date, so well done. Okay, muy bien, adios, and see you soon, hopefully.